Welcome back to Subbrief's Naval News. Today we have a great story coming out of New Jersey. The U.S. Navy has commissioned the newest Virginia-class submarine. It's a Block 4 submarine called USS New Jersey. She's the third ship in U.S. naval history to have this name. And the Block 4 is a really interesting boat in that it incorporates all of the combat upgrades and sensor upgrades of the Block 3, a real hunter-killer of submarines, but also incorporates advances in technology that reduce maintenance costs, maintenance time, and equates to more time at sea for the platform. So the Block 4 really is just a Block 3 hunter-killer with upgraded, more recent technology improvements, focusing on endurance at sea. It's a great upgrade, and I'm happy to announce that the USS New Jersey is commissioned now into the United States Navy. The New Jersey has an additional feature that no other submarine in the U.S. Navy has, and that is a first co-ed submarine that is designed from the keel up to provide a 5-star experience for both men, women, and couples during their long voyage underway. Common gathering areas are abundant with craft services provided by culinary chefs for sailors who are ready to mingle and warfight. Additional spaces include private shower facilities, double king-size bunks for communal berthing, relaxing nuclear-powered saunas for that after-watch de-stress time, or take a dip in the lower-level bathing pool. Rumor has it there's even a wave machine. The New Jersey isn't just the newest submarine in the U.S. Navy, it is a reflection of the new U.S. Navy. Now, you might be surprised how these new design changes are being reported in the media. Take a look at this. So the news is reporting on the Navy commissioning its first co-ed submarine, and these headlines are kind of funny. Let's scroll down and take a look at this. From the right perspective, the right-leaning perspective, we're seeing headlines like U.S. commissions first co-ed submarine in Navy fleet. There's a pundit headline that says, honestly, given our recruiting crisis, this seems smart. They're kind of okay with it on the right-leaning side of the political spectrum. On the left-leaning side, this one caught my attention. From Pink News, the U.S. Navy have launched a gender-neutral submarine, and the bigots are losing it. Well, I don't know who they're talking about here, but nobody on the right side, as far as the headline goes, appears to be losing it at all. If anything, they seem to be in support of this. So the U.S. Navy unveiled a brand new submarine last week, the first of its kind, as it's designed to hold both male and female sailors. It's not dubbed the USS New Jersey. That's its name. Okay. They use some interesting words here. So dubbed the USS New Jersey, it's announced during a ceremony of the Naval Weapons Station, Earl in New Jersey. That's where they had the actual commissioning ceremony back in September. The submarine will hold a crew of nearly 135 naval personnel and has been created to ensure safety and privacy for both male and female sailors, including accommodations such as increased privacy in washrooms and sleeping areas, which is perfectly true. So well done. Other submarines, it says, in the Navy's fleet were originally designed to have only male crew members. So there have been concerns about how living quarters on board were being ill-suited for the female psychology, as well as offering distinct lack of privacy since the ban on women in submarines was lifted in 2010. That's a little misleading, factually accurate, but we had female guests, overnight guests, all the way back in the 1990s whenever I was in. So while technically there was a ban on enlisted and commissioned female sailors serving and being assigned to a submarine, completely true. We've had women on submarines for a long time for multi-day stays. So it's a little misleading to say that, or to believe that there weren't women on submarines before 2010, because that's certainly not the case. So something else that I love about ground news is this bias comparison right here. If you click the bias comparison, it summarizes the perspective from the left, center, and right covering this news story about the USS New Jersey co-ed submarine. The left devolves into historic significance and diverse benefits of the USS New Jersey commissioning, emphasizing the future of naval inclusion. Pretty good and accurate. The center highlights the recent increase in women submariners and details specific submarine modifications for women. And then the right discovers the practical modifications for gender integration, emphasizing privacy improvements and operational excellence. A very good breakdown of how the left, center, and right are approaching the same story. Very well done. And over on the right-hand side, you can see how many news sources we're analyzing here. 3 from the left, 9 from the right, 9 from the center. The story is about 21 days old at this point. And they have a nice little breakdown of the bias distribution here. 43% of the sources are center, another 43% lean right, and the remaining 14% are the left-leaning. Down here's the factuality report. You can see this is a combination of mixed and high factuality sources. And the ownership right here shows you 11% of the sources are independent news. That means the rest are part of like a media conglomerate like you see here, or other corporate news sources. Ground News has a great mobile app too. You can keep up with international affairs that are not covered on local news and stay informed. It's great, easy to use, and you can take it anywhere, checking it anytime. Save 40% off the Vantage plan. That's the plan that I use by scanning the QR code or click the link at ground.news/subbrief. I want to do a follow-up to last week's video about America's cyber vulnerabilities. Many people were arguing with me about how I didn't provide them any specific examples for them to attack, and I was just wrong. So conveniently, cyber attacks have happened in just the past week. The biggest one here at American Water Company in Camden, New Jersey, sticking with the New Jersey theme today, where this water company that provides clean water and processes wastewater for 14 states, including 18 military facilities, 500 water waste systems, providing clean water and disposing of wastewater for over 1,700 communities, came under attack this week because of our multiple vulnerabilities in both our power grid and our clean water infrastructure as far as the cyber internet side of that facilities go. Now, there's a couple different agencies that are responsible for reinforcing and ensuring that we have security, network security in these areas. The first, obviously, is the Cyber Infrastructure Security Agency, which is a federal agency that provides guidance and frameworks for these water companies to protect themselves. There are federal requirements. Now, the Department of Energy actually implements those requirements on the energy side for power grids. The Environmental Protection Agency is responsible for implementing and enforcing these standards on the water side, and I'm sure that's being investigated in the case of the American water cyber attack. And then underneath all of that, the non-federal agency, which is called the North American Reliability Corporation, is a non-profit corporation made up of civilians, essentially. They started out as a volunteer group back in the late 60s, early 70s, and incorporated themselves in like 2006 to help secure our network infrastructure for our power grid and clean water. Now, I do want to provide an example of what I saw about a year ago in terms of how vulnerable the U.S. infrastructure is to cyber attack. This is something I didn't have time to put in the last video, so I'm putting it in this one here. So in 2023, a year before I make this recording, and you're watching this if you're doing it right at release, I was invited to go to a defense technology summit in Washington, D.C. for 3 days. In this summit, there were multiple panel conferences, one of which talked about infrastructure security for cyber attacks for our water and power grid. And on this panel was one of the original members of the civilian side of people, that were trying to help create a framework and software and build a firewall to protect cyber attacks from shutting down, our clean water processing plants all over the country. He is retired now, but was speaking at this summit. And he blew my mind when he described how open and vulnerable and lack of updates we have in terms of our firewall protection in 2023 and presumably even 2024 after this attack. So what I learned in that 3-day period watching these board members and CEOs talk to these federal agency people asking for help was that it appeared to them that if they had taken the responsibility of writing code and improving our infrastructure security-wise, that the first time a cyber attack like what just happened to American Water comes along, they would be blamed for it, opening them up to lawsuits. And so nobody wanted to take that risk. So as of 2023, the federal agencies were still doing their best to update the system security, the software from, cyber attacks. But, and this was the shocking thing, they hadn't had an approved update for their water infrastructure in over 4 years, pre-pandemic. The last update was like 2018 or 2019. Now, since then, each individual site at the local level was doing its best to protect itself. That continued to happen. But as far as an approved, everybody implement this software version of security for whatever their network is, that had not happened in years. And they needed someone, a private agency, a private corporation to come in and implement that level of security for everyone, get everyone up to the same standard. Apparently that was not happening. And so that blew my mind that, one, it hadn't happened in years, and nobody in the forum I was at over a 3-day period wanted to take on that responsibility, leaving our power grid and water infrastructure more vulnerable. And it happened this week. American Water, one of our largest clean water producers or suppliers of infrastructure in the United States, across 14 states, has had an attack. And they've suspended billing right now. As they do more investigation, maybe we'll get more details out of that. We don't know how severe this is yet. Hopefully it's nothing big, but it just reiterates the point that our infrastructure is not secure. It's not protected. There is a firewall, but it's very porous. And someone got into American Water. And these attacks happen more often than is reported in the news. This is just a big one that's getting some headlines right now. There's lots of smaller attacks, usually on our healthcare system and more at the state and local level, that goes unreported outside local news, which is why you should subscribe to Ground News. So check out Ground News by scanning the QR code, click the link in the description, or go to ground.news/subbrief to save 40% off the Vantage plan. That's the plan that I use, and you should give it a shot. Thanks for watching, everyone.